Across Canada, many communities are facing a housing crisis. The cost of housing is skyrocketing in most urban centers, and a growing number of people are unable to find safe and secure places to live. Despite efforts to end homelessness, the problem is stubborn and in some places growing. For many years, solutions to homelessness focus on short-term emergency services and shelters to help people come in from the cold. Often, access to more permanent housing required people to be housing ready. Then came Housing First, a strategy to get people off the street as quickly as possible, find them real homes, and provide extra supports to stay housed. This model is spreading across Canada and is proving to work. Housing First is primarily focused on people who are already experiencing homelessness, chronic or episodic. Do people need to enter into a crisis before gaining access to housing and supports? What would happen if we also focus further upstream to prevent housing instability in the first place? Prevention is a profound shift. It means catching people before they experience a crisis. It makes sense that in a housing crisis, resources and attention are focused on that. However, without prevention, there is a potential that we'll always be in a crisis and never actually solve the problem. How do we make a shift from this to this? Imagine that you run an emergency room and you keep seeing people dying from car accidents. At some point, the case for seatbelt becomes overwhelming. It is time for the response to housing instability and homelessness to include seatbelts. So what can prevention look like? Some types of prevention make sure that people don't become homeless in the first place. This includes making sure that there are enough affordable homes available for all the people who need them. It also means reducing poverty through such things as increasing minimum wage and income assistance rates. It means making sure that people don't experience discrimination when trying to find housing, and that housing is recognized as a human right. Other types of prevention supports people to make their house a home and stay housed once housed. Extra support such as health services, tenant and life skill education, and increased social inclusion helps people who are more at risk of housing instability to become more secure in their homes. Landlord-tenant mediation and emergency funds are also part of this picture. We also need to make sure that the systems that are supposed to help people, child welfare, corrections, and the healthcare system, don't contribute to homelessness. For example, youth who have been in foster care are often vulnerable to becoming homeless when they leave care without support or even housing. Prevention includes ensuring better planning and supports to help people out of these systems avoid the cycle of homelessness that is all too common. Prevention asks us to answer questions such as, what is our duty to prevent homelessness? Are housing policies and laws set up to help people succeed or to protect against risk? How do we transform the system so that the housing instability and safe and affordable homes for all are at the center? Prevention strategies and planning ask us to think and act in a different way to increase housing stability. It requires us to invest in prevention at the same time as addressing the current crisis. It calls for seatbelts as people need them and throughout the system. It's time to make the shift from crisis to prevention.